Hey everybody, welcome to the channel. It's your boy Pharaoh, and today we're going over something pretty interesting that came across my screen today, and that is former PlayStation president Shuhei Yoshida says PlayStation 6 hardware has hit a wall to where graphics will no longer be able to be the main selling point of the console anymore. I found that pretty interesting, especially with everything that's going on with the new Xbox ROG Ally, and they're talking about integrating stores and things like that, and we're seeing the differentiation between what hardware used to be and what hardware may be becoming as far as the services and content that's provided to us on these devices going forward. So let me go ahead and pull this article and we'll be able to go ahead and jump into it, and then I'll expand on my thoughts further. Here we go. So from Push Square, even I can't tell the difference. Shuhei Yoshida thinks PlayStation 6 needs something other than just more power. They can't do the same thing. Conversations about the next generation of consoles have already begun, with lots of rumors about PlayStation 6 and its supposed arrival in 2027. However, many are satisfied with the current gen machines are capable of, and diminishing returns offered by new, technically more powerful consoles are becoming so minute that it's difficult to imagine PS6 making a huge leap forward. That seems to be the gist of what Shuhei Yoshida thinks, at the very least. The former PlayStation executive, who left the company earlier this year, made an appearance on Friends Per Second podcast talking about his experience as a freelance consultant for indie studios as well as the future of the gaming landscape. While talking about PlayStation in particular, Yoshida says that Sony needs to do something other than simply pushing for more power in its next gen box. Graphics have almost hit to the level that even I cannot tell the difference between some of the graphics capabilities, like ray traced or non ray traced, unless it's side by side or higher frame rate, he says. So PlayStation clearly, in my mind, they cannot do the same thing they have been doing, increasing the graphics power and providing the high-end experiences. They might just do that, but still, that feels like a niche audience right now. Yoshida also brings up PlayStation's current management, who may be able to bring a fresh perspective on how the platform should evolve. It's really fitting that PlayStation has a new generation of management. CEO Hideki Nishino is in his 40s. He's like 46 years old, so a much younger generation. Up until Jim Ryan, it's always been our generation, the first generation of PlayStation management, leading the company. But now Nishino and Herman Hulse are much younger, so they can do something disruptive. They don't have to follow what PlayStation has done in the past. So yeah, it's super interesting. When asked what Sony can do to succeed with PS6, Yoshida doesn't offer his own ideas, but instead praises the company for being able to find innovative ways to improve gaming with each new console. For myself, I think PS5 is an amazing system in terms of quality of experience, he says. I think the adoption of the SSD was almost like a miracle. I think PS5 and SSD has made almost every game a better game. He said Sony and Mark Cerny are so brilliant in designing and creating systems that people can really enjoy, offering up PS Portal as an example. He says he was skeptical at first, but once he used it, he understood the appeal. So hopefully, they have been cooking something that we don't know about that. When we get when we get hold of it, we'll say, "Oh yeah, this is great." So fingers crossed. His comments aren't a million miles away from those of a former God of War producer who said AAA studios should branch out to make smaller experiences to support the big expensive blockbusters. All right. So when I saw that, I thought it was a very interesting take from him, especially seeing I've been kind of following his post on Twitter the past week, especially since this new Xbox Rock Ally has come out. He's been like totally in love with it. He's been posting nothing but gameplay from that device. He's been playing everything from Ghost of Tsushima, God of War, the Ball and Pit game that's on Game Pass, and he's raving about it. So I'm getting the perception that he feels that the way that Xbox is going is the way that consoles should go going forward. Not saying PlayStation should be a direct copy of that, but I think that's kind of what the environment that he's hoping that gaming goes towards, to where it's more open, and that these consoles can just do more than they could do before to garner more appeal. Maybe I'm looking at it differently, but that's kind of the perspective that I think he's taking, just based on the activity I've seen from him recently. Um, do I think Sony needs to do anything different on the hardware side? I'm not 100% sure about that. I think they appeal to a more casual audience, and I think the casual audience will, for the most part, be satisfied with a hardware bump, or they'll just stay on the PlayStation 5. I don't think there's a lot of gaming features they can provide to that audience that would necessarily make them feel like they have to buy a new console at this point. I mean, a lot of people stayed behind on the PS4. They're still behind on the PS4. So I think it's just the only thing that it's not really the features that moves those people over. I think it's more so when the games that they want stop coming to the device that they're using, they upgrade at this point. Kind of like a person who holds on to a smartphone for 5 years instead of upgrading every year. Some people upgrade every year. Some people hold on to it until it's, they absolutely have to get a new one. I think that's kind of where we're at in the gaming industry. I think where PlayStation needs to get on track and start like diversifying the experiences and things like that to attract more customers is, I really think they need diversity in their first party, and they need a more steady cadence. Maybe that involves making smaller games, because the big budget games that they make take so long to make, and they only have a limited number of studios. I think that'll probably be more effective for them. But I'm not sure about the hardware angle, because I don't think people buy PlayStation for the hardware. I think it's very much a casual box at this point that people play mainly free to play titles on, and like Call of Duty and sports games. Um, but I do think that with some diversification, and maybe like lowering the barrier entry, kind of doing some things like maybe like a PC app where people can play their games over a PC or a phone app, like offering different ways to play, might be more beneficial for them than trying to do something crazy with the hardware. Especially with the news that we got today about the next Xbox. We'll talk about that in another video. But I think if they try to do something like crazy, I don't know if it'll fly for them. I really want to know what you guys think. So about Shuhei Yoshida, tongue twister, Shuhei Yoshida's comments, as well as my thoughts on what PlayStation should do. What do you think PlayStation should do going into the PlayStation 6 era? Do you want to see um, major hardware improvements, major graphical leaps from the hardware at the cost of it being at a premium price, or do you want them to just do a power bump, make it stronger than the PS5 Pro, but kind of focus more on a wider diversity of games and a stronger release cadence? Let me know in the comments. If you made it this far, please hit the like button. Please subscribe. And yeah, man, it was great. Thanks for coming through. Peace.